Frosty the snowman was a jolly happy soul, with a corncob pipe and a button nose, and two eyes made out of coal. Frosty the snowman is a fairy tale, they say. He was made of snow, but the children know how he came to life one day. There must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found, for when they placed it on his head, he began to dance around. Oh, Frosty the snowman was alive as he could be, and the children say he could laugh and play just the same as you and me. Frosty the snowman knew the sun was hot that day, so he said, let's run and we'll have some fun now before I melt away. Down to the village with a broomstick in his hand, running here and there all around the square, saying, catch me if you can. He led them down the streets of town, right to the traffic cop, and he only paused a moment when he heard him holler, stop! Oh, Frosty the snowman had to hurry on his way, but he waved goodbye, saying, don't you cry, I'll be back again someday. Thumpity thump thump, thumpity thump thump, look at Frosty go. Thumpity thump thump, thumpity thump thump, over the hills and snow.
We're celebrating. What are we celebrating today?
This is an open house for the Artesia Historical Society. We have it annually. It's from 1 to 3, and we welcome everyone to come in. We like to wish them a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and at the same time, they do bring donations of food for those in need.
So far, how's everything going?
It's wonderful. We've had a lot of people in here. A lot of people have appreciated the house. Most the statements they make is, oh my goodness, outside this house doesn't look like much, but inside it is beautiful. So come on.
You
Yeah.
keep getting staff and more staff, right? When it comes to
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, I'm sure you heard about our Artesia Diaz, the queens. We have their crowns and their dresses and the capes, which is such a big hit. People don't realize that our Portuguese hall exists and what the reason is. So they're thrilled to see that.
how important it is to continue to hold this.
Oh, it's very important. When you come through the house, you see a lot of work and a lot of hard work that people broke their backs to make the city of Artesia continue and to be a great city that it is. So you see pictures of the school and the school children, and some of them are their clothing is a little bit soiled because they've been out in the field working, and they wait for the school bell to ring and they run into school so they're not late, and then of course they go back to work in the field. So we've had just a great history here. Artesia has worked so hard to keep itself going and to be proud. In the 1970s, Queen Juliana of Holland came to visit Artesia. We were a small town. They came because of the Artesia Christian Home. And then just a couple of months ago, we had the privilege of our president of Portugal come to visit. So if you think about it, there's not too many cities that say you could have a queen and a president come visit.
Exactly. Volunteers, do you guys have enough? Do you need more?
We would love the younger generation to come. It's important because each time you come and you tell the story of this historical house, it sinks in that, wow, this is amazing. This house, this town didn't just appear as it is today. It took a lot of hard work to get where it is. And it was the Portuguese, the Dutch, Hispanics, the three major groups that really made Artesia, really worked hard to make it the city it is.
You keep getting stuff donated to the house that you're almost running out of room, right?
A little bit. Storage is a little bit short right now, which is a good thing. But yes, we do have so many wonderful things that people, once they realize what this house is all about. They bring their items here because they're proud of them. They want to show what their families did in Artesia.
Yeah. Thank you for talking to us, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you too, and to you. God bless.
Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay. Be near me, Lord Jesus, I ask thee to stay close by me forever and love me, I pray. Bless all the dear children in thy tender care, and fit us for heaven to live with thee there.
Oh, that was wonderful.
What's your name?
Dolores Eveland.
Dolores. Today we're sitting in the dining room, right?
Yes, that's right.
The best part of the house, right?
Of course, that's where the food is.
Let's talk a little bit about this dining room. What do we know about it?
Well, this was the family would have extended family dinners here. The couple who lived here did not have children, so they only had the two of them. So they would mostly eat in the little breakfast nook, but the families would have gatherings here. And our one of our co-presidents is a descendant of that family and remembers coming here for family dinners. So it was a gathering place, I think, for the family.
And you were telling me that a lot of the stuff in the dining room, it's original, right?
That's right. The chandelier and the two wall sconces on the back wall are original. And I think that one of the things I always find interesting is the beams are original. And if you look really closely, you can see a painted stencil pattern on them, which was typical of a 1929 house. So the fact that it's, still there and visible, I think is really special.
What do you do here? Voluntary work?
Yeah, I've been a docent for a number of years. I was a docent with the school tours for a long, long time. I've sort of backed off because I'm getting old. But, I'm the vice president of the organization, so I sort of try to help the presidents any way I can. I do the newsletter. What else do? I do lots of research. I'm a born researcher.
How important is that to us?
Well, I think it's important. I've been accumulating files that have pictures of people who have lived here in the past and stories about the families. I also have worked on a project where we've collected information about veterans. So anyone who lived in Artesia who served in the military, we try to identify them and then include them in our records. So we have a very large collection of information on veterans of all the wars.
And this is the time we should be doing that because a little later it's going to be a lot harder, right?
Absolutely. Well, the Artesia Cemetery has, I've forgotten the number, I think it's like 42 Civil War veterans, which is pretty unusual for California.
Okay.
So I've done a lot of research on all of those veterans. I haven't finished all of them, but I do genealogy, so I have a lot of resource places to do some research, yeah. And then we had one of our galas a couple of years ago. We recognized the military, and so we gathered a lot of information at that time. Our archivist is Wayne Dantema, and he's collected a lot of information on particularly the Vietnam veterans. Artesia lost a lot of young men in the Vietnam War. So we've tried to identify them in the other museum. We have a book where we've put together just short blurb bios on them and tried to get pictures of them. So that's kind of one of my favorite ones, I think, because I think it's so important.
If anybody would like to share anything they have, what do they need to do?
They just contact us. They can call us. We have we have an email address. I don't remember exactly. I think it's Artesia Historical Society, all one word, at yahoo.com, or they can just contact one of us.
Fantastic. So we're celebrating Christmas, right? This is a Christmas event. At the same time, we're talking about history, right?
Yes, that's right. We have a Santa Claus that has wooden shoes, like a lot of our Dutch immigrant families. That this community has a lot of Dutch people, as you know, and a lot of Portuguese, as you know. So we've tried to gather things on all of those groups. It's really fun, you know. My husband was born here, so we have a real strong feeling for Artesia.
Especially Artesia in the beginning was a lot of Dutch dairies, right? And Portuguese.
Well,
right?
yeah, no, they came. I'm not sure when they started coming. In the beginning, it was like little truck farms. We had at one time we had a large Italian community that grew flowers for the Los Angeles Flower Mart, and there's actually a book in the library about that, which is really interesting. In fact, one of the descendants of those families just passed away, Flora May Gandolfo, and I think her funeral's next week or so. But so we've had that Italian influence, we've had the Dutch influence, and of course we have the Hispanic influence. We at one time, prior to World War II, we had a lot of Asian truck farmers who grew all kinds of vegetables and that kind of thing. So this is really a diverse community, more so than a lot of communities around here.
I know. Thank you for talking to us.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for interviewing me.
Came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their hearts of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay, to hear the angels sing. And ye beneath life's crushing load, whose forms are bending low, who toil along the climbing way, with painful steps and slow.
Whoa, ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Here we are, Santa Claus. Santa Claus is here today.
Yes, it's wonderful to be here in Artesia.
And then Santa is going to give a lot of gifts out today.
Oh, we have lots of gifts to give today.
Do we have to put our names on the list, or what do we
I
got to
have
do?
my elf Wayne here adding to the naughty and nice list.
Oh, can my name go in there?
Well, what is your name?
Manuel.
Manuel. Let me see. I got a good side and a bad side. Yeah. What did you do?
But
this
how
year
do you
that
know
was
if I-
good?
Me?
Yeah. What did you do?
I do so many good things to the
Well,
community.
put you down there. Manuel. Okay.
On the good list?
You are on
Oh,
the good list.
Thank you. So that means I'll get something.
Absolutely. We'll be at your house in just a couple of weeks.
What's your name?
FedEx. No. My name is Wayne.
Wayne.
Wayne. Yeah.
Wayne, are you from Artesia?
Well, I used to be.
Used to be. You used to live here.
Yeah, I lived on Pioneer Boulevard for 55 years.
In this home.
Then, well, not all those years in this home, but on Pioneer Boulevard itself. I was born and raised on Pioneer. I live in Cypress now, just around the
We're
corner.
talking about the 60s, 70s, 80s,
Yeah, well, up to the year 2000.
up to the year 2000.
Born here in 45, and 2000 moved to Cypress.
Artesia seems to have a lot of history, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. I'm working on archiving the Artesia News. We go back with major copies back to 1948, and almost have it all complete, so that you can do searches for birth announcements or whatever back to 1948. So
1948.
48, yes.
Wow. So if anybody's interested, what do they need to do?
Contact the Historical Society and leave their name or whatever, and they can we can search the name for them, or I have loaner copies also that can go out for the Artesia News. That if they have the skills, computer skills, and know Adobe fairly well, they can do it on their own as far as that goes.
Okay.
They can sit down for hours because there's a lot of newspaper, and it takes a while to search for one name through all the newspapers.
I understand. So it's a job that it's not easy, but at the same time, it's good for us to know more about the past in
Yes,
the city, right?
yes, you can go back and look, see what your uncle did or whatever, if he's into the dairy business. We have a lot of Portuguese and Dutch dairies that were, go back to the late 30s. So it's interesting. Since I was in the midst of it, I was born on Pioneer Boulevard and raised on Pioneer Boulevard. Everything in my life was Pioneer Boulevard. The doctor was a pioneer on Pioneer Boulevard. The dentist was. The grocery store, the hardware store, the toy store, the pharmacy.
You can tell by the pictures that we had everything on Pioneer.
Right. And where my house was just basically not in the middle of downtown, but eventually it went into the middle of downtown as Artesia expanded and grew out, and all of a sudden the houses that I had were now in commercial zoning.
Today you have a different duty, right?
Yeah, today is part of the Historical Society. I've been an active member since its inception and always enjoy coming here and putting on a show make people aware of Artesia's history.
Exactly.
We think it was it was a bedroom community at one time, but not so. It was lots of dairies where there was one family per 10 acres.
Yeah.
Now you got about 500 families per 10 acres. So
There you go. That's true.
it's a lot more crowded.
Santa, where do you come from?
North Pole.
North Pole. That's really nice.
Yeah.
But I know you also live here locally, right?
I do. I live in Artesia. When I'm not in the North Pole, my second home is Artesia. It's my first home, actually, but
It's your first home?
yes, correct.
What memories brings you back when, let's say if we talk about a few years ago in Artesia?
Oh, it can go back for me to when it was dairies and that kind of stuff. My mother was actually born in the city of Artesia. My history in Artesia goes back for a long time.
Wow,
but
your mother was already born here.
yes, my mother was born here, 1924.
What kind of memories outside of the dairies that brings you? What did the kids used to do in those days?
Oh my gosh, we used to ride our bikes just freely up and down, places. Played all kinds of different games. Kids today, they all want to be on the internet. They don't want to play the old-fashioned style games. But life in Artesia was wonderful. Life changes, and you have to change with the times, unfortunately. But those games today would be fun for kids as much as they were back then. It's pretty awesome, and I'm so thankful for the Artesia Historical Society that they preserve these memories, and they have video archiving and lots of things going on. So it's wonderful.
Where does your family come from outside of your mother, obviously? Dutch?
Dutch, and my grandfather was born in the Netherlands, and my father's parents were born in England and France.
Wow, so you have a big mix,
A
huh?
lot of European blood, yes.
Yeah, especially in the soccer games right now, they're all there.
Yes, that's right. The Dutch just beat the U.S.
I know,
Yeah.
Thanks for contributing to the Historic Society. It's very important to us as a city and residents to kind of have these memories and for us to really find out if anybody wants to know anything about our city of Artesia to come here,
To
right?
come to the Artesia Historical Society, and on behalf of the Historical Society, I want to thank RTA for doing the same thing as preserving our history and promoting the city of Artesia. So,
Thank you.
you bet. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Look now for glad and golden hours come swiftly on the wing. Rest beside the weary load and hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on by prophecy back the song which now the angels sing.
I have the pleasure to talk to
Maria Dantema.
Maria Danteman. So you were the second owner of this house, right?
More or less, yes. The Framptons built it and had it first, and then they had no children. So when they both had passed, then it went down to his niece, Kitzmiller. And at that time, the property was going to be for sale. And so my husband and I, along with my parents, kind of looked at the situation and put in our bid at auction, and voila, we wound up not only with this house, but like 5 houses on the boulevard. So we figured the rents could help pay for the property, and so that's basically how we acquired it.
What year did you purchase this house?
I believe it was 1977 January
And then you left?
in 1999.
Then you moved out of Artesia, or?
Very far away. It took us 12 minutes to drive all our goods from the old house to the new house. So we're on the very northwest corner of Cyprus. So,
What could you tell about memories of this house?
oh, lots of good ones because we had our 3 children while we were living here.
Is your kids still around here?
More or less. 1 is still at home and 2 are in Newport Beach.
This room right here, what was the room on your days?
In my days, it was the room where the 3 kids slept at night. It was the kids' bedroom.
The kids' bedroom. So all 3 of them in the same
So we
room.
had a double bed over here and the crib on the wall over there and the giant closet to fit all their stuff.
And then you didn't have like one area, the bedroom for the girl, like in our days, everything
When there's
decorated.
only-
The boys, you know what I mean?
No, no, no,
With
no.
all the soccer or football.
Oh, no, 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 no. It was the way I wanted it decorated and they got to sleep there.
That's it. That's all they got, right?
Yes, I liked light blue and beige, and that's what the room was, even though blue is boys and pink is girls, traditionally. So, and a bedroom was just to sleep in. When I was growing up, there were 7 of us in one bedroom, mixed boys and girls. So you got over that really quick.
Yeah.
And we only had a 2-bedroom house, and so when there is only 2 bedrooms, then one is for the parents and the other one is for whoever else is in the family, right?
When you purchased this house, or your family, when they purchased the house, were they included the furniture or no?
There was a little bit of furniture. The relatives from the Framptons had the opportunity to come in and see if there was any furnishings that they would care to keep in the family. So they took the items that they wanted, and then all the rest was basically left in the house, and so we inherited it that way. So there's a lot of items here that are from the Framptons originally, and one of them is that sewing machine that's right behind you.
Let's talk about that. So this is from what year, this sewing machine?
Oh, I want to say it's from the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s. What was odd about it was when I got married and first moved into the house, because my husband was here earlier, then it was in the way, so they had parked the sewing machine in a garage outside. So then we got married, and I was redoing this room, and I saw, well, what is that sewing machine doing in the garage? He says, I want to bring it inside the house. And so I brought it in. He says, well, where do you want to put it? I said, well, right there in the corner. And he looks at me and he goes, when I was growing up and visiting, that's exactly the same place that sewing machine was before. It just was a natural place for it to be. So now it's relocated a little bit, but I love the sewing machine and treadle sewing machine. So power outage, you could still sew.
So you sew.
Yes.
You know how.
I know how, yes.
What did you do? What kind of pieces you did in the sewing machine?
Well, in the 60s and 70s, you basically made your own clothing. So dresses, pants, blouses. Later on, when it was less expensive to buy clothing out in the world, then I would sew for my little girls their dresses. And then one of the girls got into ice skating, and so I would sew all of our ice skating outfits. So So I really enjoy sewing, even though I did not make very many things on that sewing machine.
So then you moved to another home, but you left furniture behind, especially like the sewing machine, which is probably worth a lot of money,
Well,
or other furniture.
the house was emptied of our furniture. We built a new house, and basically the new house was designed around the furniture that we already had.
Okay.
Because we chose it carefully and we wanted to keep our items. And when there's not that many rooms of furniture, it's easy to move. And when you move into a new house, you can't afford new more furniture. So we built our house so that our old furniture would fit nicely in there.
How important it is, this home, to you? I know it is a lot because you lived here, lived in this home, not in this location. How important it is to keep this historic society in Artesia?
Well, we really, really enjoyed the style of the house, the originality of the house, knowing the people that did build the house. And there was just so much history in the house itself, surviving the 1933 earthquake, belonging to one of the founding fathers of Artesia. There are just so many important things like that that are tied to it. And when Pioneer Boulevard was totally being redone parcel by parcel, we just did not want to see the bulldozer go through the house. So we got a group of people that were really interested in preserving the house and working with the city and the person who eventually bought the land where it was sitting on. And through all the motions, and we wound up actually having the house relocated and refurbishing it and putting it on a new foundation, and it's actually better off now than where it was in the original location.
Where was the original location?
Well, a long time ago, you would say right across the street from Pioneer Hospital, but Pioneer Hospital's not there anymore, so I guess it's the closest to the intersection between Pioneer and it's either Elaine or Arlene. I always get confused.
What's the reason you do all this work here?
Because even though we don't live in Artesia now, I was born and raised in Artesia, and I was in my 40s when I moved out of it. I still feel like I'm an Artesian. There's just so many memories here of things that we did, and the parks and the buildings and the people that you grew up with, and you still want to keep those ties. So that's what I like the most.
What are you guys are searching for? I mean, just maintaining it, or do you want more?
We really enjoy our program where we bring in the school students so that we can teach the younger ones what life was like in Artesia before what they see right now. Life was so different between country life in a small town and now being a moderate size city in the middle of, metropolitan area.
Yeah, just like that phone, right? Like if you put that phone in front of kids today, you think they're going to know how to dial?
Our Empress telephone, and you actually have to put your finger in and dial one number,
At the
and then the next number, and then if it was all nines in there, then you took a really long time. And
Sometimes
then
you wouldn't
didn't
roll all
wanna-
the way, right?
And then you didn't want to mess up, because then you would have to hang it up again and start all over.
It was funny, not too long ago, they put a similar phone in front of a bunch of kids. Nobody knew what to do to dial.
That would be very interesting.
I know, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you for doing what you're doing for the city of Artesia. Thanks for your family, your contribution, this home for the Historic Society of this community. And thanks for the good work.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon Virgin Mother and Child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep Sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds wake at the sight, glory streams from heaven above.
Your name?
It's Jenny Appleberry Kubinski.
We are here at the window, right? We can see everybody coming in, going out, right? We have
yes.
a great view.
A beautiful view today. Yes.
And plus, not only that, we're the best table in the house,
We
right?
are. We are at the goodie table today where we're passing out free samples of cookies and also selling our Artesia history books, our note cards, and our cookbooks.
I have that book, and I think it's very interesting.
It is.
To have it.
It is. It really gives a wonderful depiction of how Artesia started in 1875, and gives just a great view of how we grew until 1975. So it's still growing today.
How long you been part of this organization?
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning, yes. Actually, my daughter is pregnant with the 7th generation Artesian. Yes, my
Wow.
family has been here since 1875.
So you still live in Artesia?
I still do, yes.
Fantastic.
Yes, and she is too.
How important it is to maintain this historic society?
It is super important. You know, we have seen over 10,000 third grade students tour our museums and reach their third grade curriculum studies here, learning about their local history. And that is so important. My view is that it's great to know where you've come from so that you know where you can go in the future. I was born in Artesia.
You were born in
I
Artesia.
was born in Artesia.
Your family.
My family came from England in 1875, and they settled here in Artesia.
I was just in England this last summer for the first time. Loved it.
Oh, yes. I have a cousin in England still, and we still compete quite vigorously about who has the better soccer team.
There we go. You won today.
They won today. Yes.
Yes. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's talk a little bit about history. What in this house? What impresses you the most?
How they were able to do so many beautiful things back in the early 1900s. Their craftsmanship was incredible. They really took a lot of important time to make sure that their details were perfect, you know, and they didn't have the tools that we have today. You know, you know, you can look at some of the knobs on the cabinets and they look handmade. So they weren't done by machines or things like that. And I think it's so important to show young people that things were done differently 100 plus years ago, and we can still appreciate that beauty today.
What's your duty? What do you kind of do to help on this organization, Historic Society?
I'm actually in charge of the fundraising, and I make sure that we have programs that people can donate to or purchase items that can support our society so that we can continue to support the community.
Okay, perfect. So everybody that's going to be watching this, if they're wanting to contribute or help or even be part of this organization, what do they got to do?
Well, they can send a donation to the Artesia Historical Society. Our P.O. Box is P.O. Box 83, Artesia, California, 90702. Or they can visit our museums on the second Saturday of each month. We're open from 1 to 3. They can visit our beautiful home and our fire station, and they can also make a donation there. Also, it's super important to know that money is not the only thing that we need. We need docents. We need people to show our third graders about our history here. So if anybody wants to volunteer, we have so many jobs and things that people can do to help our society keep its value.
And age doesn't matter, right?
Age does not matter, no. You can be young, you can be elderly. We have a lot of retired teachers actually that come and actually lead our third grade students through our museums here.
Congratulations for the great work you guys do here, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and to everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great day.